So let's take all of these supplies and make that look like that. Look how pretty. So that's what we did this weekend. If you're interested in seeing how we got this done, put this upholstery on this rear seat for our 56 Bel Air, stay tuned. So I've got everything laid out to do this. I've got cotton batting, jute, burlap, my seat cover, my seat springs, which have already been repaired, some listing wire, hog ring pliers, utility knife, upholstery scissors, steamer, 1.5" foam, and 1/2" scrim foam. That's everything I'm gonna use. We're gonna cover this seat today. We're gonna cover this rear seat bottom. I've got a lot of work in front of me. I've got to do the rear seat top and bottom, the front seat bottom, and the 2 fold down rear backs for the front seat. So it's a bunch to do. The easiest one to do is this rear seat bottom. So that's what I'm gonna start with, and we're gonna just stick our toe in the water, get the jitters out, and get started with this. So let's get into it. So you can't do good upholstery work without a good foundation. So in order to have a good foundation, you need to really give some TLC to your seat frame. And I have an episode out that I just did, the last one, which was on repairing broken springs, repairing sagging springs, the purpose of, or the sinuous wire, what that does, the stay wire that holds everything together and makes it all move uniformly. So that was all in the last episode. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna put on a Ciadella interior kit. So this Ciadella cover came as part of a kit, and this is all to the 1956 Bel Air patterns. However, Ciadella, I got together with Gina over there at Ciadella, and we came up with a different layout, or a different set of fabrics to use for this. And this is actually from a 1958 Chevrolet Cameo. So it's really a nice little linear weave. It's got red, black, and white in it, and then torch red on the interior. And I can't stress this enough. I'm looking at it on my screen, and I'm looking at it in person. This is not the orange, the hue that you're seeing on the screen. This is a lot more red than what it looks like. I got with Gina at Ciadella, and I said, hey, how do you guys do this? So she sent me a bunch of pictures. And what they basically do, actually, let me start from the bottom. So what they basically do is they use burlap as the bottom layer, and they put that right over the springs. And I've been watching a handful of British shows lately, and they refer to it as Hessian cloth. We call it burlap. So anyway, this is what goes on to the springs, and then what they recommend is a layer of jute to go over that. And jute, this is the old carpet backing, not for your house, not for your shag carpeting that goes in your suburban ranch home, but this is what used to go in automotive carpet underneath, jute. So I have a few yards of that. And then on top of that, what they recommended was an 1.5" layer of medium to dense foam, and I had to order this online. I could not source this locally. I'll tell you about that when I get to that point. And then they recommend to top it all off, to hold it all together, with scrim foam. So scrim foam is basically the same sort of foam, but then the backing material, you can see it's got a cloth or a fabric on it. And the reason for this is that so that when you pull this tight and put a hog ring in it, this actually has some structure that the hog ring won't rip through the foam like it will with this. I've watched a bunch of videos. I've watched videos for a number of years now, because truth told, this 71 Cutlass behind me, I had to do that whole interior, and it was from scratch, and I'd never done it before. I had a kit from Legendary for that one. And when I did that one, they had me use this cotton batting. So I ordered the install kit for it, and this cotton batting is just in a, this is the same thing that the old school, what we pulled out of Christine. As a matter of fact, if you're interested in how these seats come apart, put a link to that video here when I took everything apart. But this is all the vinyl and fabric that came off of these seats. Well, anyway, so as I was doing the Cutlass interior, I had some leftover cotton batting, and I'm gonna need that in this instance, but even though it wasn't explicitly part of their instructions, I'm gonna show you where it's gonna come in handy. So we're gonna use that too. But let's start putting some parts together and get after it. So I mentioned I watched a lot of videos on this, and that's the truth. The best couple of three that I've seen seem to be from PUI. PUI, their video, it's only like about 8 minutes long. Mine's gonna be much longer than that, fair warning. But their video is only about 8 minutes long, and it shows how to do a seat bottom, and they do it all in hyperlapse. But what's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up with more than one video. So I'm going to do multiple videos, and I'm going to do the bottom, the back, and everything else. And I've seen a lot of people, they'll show you how to do what I'm going to do today, and you know this is the easy thing. So once we get started with this, we're going to build up to the harder and harder things. But here we go. So we're going to start off with this burlap, and I have hog rings and hog ring pliers. I can already hear the comments right now about me working on my knees, but I'm all right with it. So here's a hog ring plier with the hog ring in it, and when you pinch it, it makes a loop. These hog rings have a little bit of an offset in them. So they have a little bit of a twist, so that when they go together, the two little end tips go by one another. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I've got this spread out, I've got a couple of inches extra, but I'm gonna start in the middle. And what I'd like to do is fold this over to at least get as much of this jute over this front wire as possible. So I'm gonna fold it underneath. That'll make it a little neater, and nobody's going to see it, but what that's going to do is that's going to give a lot more material over the front nose where a lot of the when you're trying to form all the protection. You know, it's one thing to be in the field here, but this is a hard edge. So I'm just going to put these about every 8 inches or so, maybe, before we put the jute on. So you can see I'm just doing this, just wrapping it over and doing that. But when I put the jute on, the jute will go through the same thing. So now you can see that I've got a double layer of burlap over this front wire. All right, that's that stage. Nothing to it. Okay, just a layer of burlap. Now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the burlap on the side, and we're gonna start with this jute. So this jute is kind of thick. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick, maybe. And I'm gonna cut this with the scissors. It doesn't cut very well with a razor blade. I just did this just to prove it to myself that I needed my scissors, so I did. But we're gonna go ahead and lay this out and cut that and put that on it. Yeah, it's not rocket science. So I get this, and this got to go to the edge as well, right up to the edge. I'm not gonna leave myself short, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Cut this. Sure we bought enough. If not, I'll buy more. But yeah, cuts easy with the scissors. Yeah, big old scissors. So same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and hog ring this down, and that'll be that layer. So I've already put one hog ring in the back to anchor it in the center. And I'm gonna pull this. I got a lot of excess material, but I'm gonna pull this, make sure that this is just flat. I'm not gonna stretch it, but we're gonna go over the front here. I'm gonna shove it on. Yeah, I think if you really push hard on it, it'll go in, because these hog rings only have so much of a throat. They're only so deep. Let me do another one, show you. I'm gonna go in here. Make sure it grabs. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way around the perimeter with this, and take it to the next step. All right, got that done. So now we got a layer of burlap and a layer of jute. That's all there is to this. So now comes the interesting part, because I've got to get this foam on here. So I'm going to lay this out, and it comes around the perimeters, and they have like maybe it's 1.5 inches extra all the way around, and then the scrim foam actually secures that down. So let me go ahead and get this foam laid out, and we'll continue to that step. So I want to show you something as you're looking at this. See that little sag in the back? And it rises and the sag in the back. All right, that's the back wire on the frame that is bent, and I couldn't straighten it effectively. So what I'm going to do is, in this little sway, I'm going to take some of that cotton batting, and I'm going to build up that cotton batting on top of the jute, so that when I lay down my foam lays down flat. So I'm going to build up here, and I'm going to build up here, and then lay this foam down. And then what I'm going to have to do is turn it over to make sure I've got about 1.5 inches all the way around of this foam. All right, so I have the foam cut with 1.5 inches clear all the way around, and I use the same upholstery scissors to cut it. I don't have the little bread cutter. I used to. I don't have it right now. So anyway, that's what I've got. Now from this, you're supposed to wrap the scrim foam and lock all of this together. The scrim foam goes wrapping all the way around tight to the springs on the front, the back, the bottom, the sides. So I'm not quite sure about the sides. I'm not sure what to attach to there. Maybe, I guess it's this bar. But they attach the scrim foam to this set of springs, and then this set of springs all the way around. So let me flip this over, and then we can start playing with the cotton batting and get this flat. So this is totally old school cotton batting. You can get this at any craft store. You can get this at Joann or Michael's. Any fabric store should have this. But I don't need a whole lot. I've got 2 big rolls, but I'm gonna cut like this much of it off, and we'll start seeing. I'll probably need to like a few squares, and I'll probably tear it at the edges to kind of make it smooth it out. But we'll see how this plays out. So let me cut a piece, and we'll start laying it out. So I'm just gonna tear it at the edges, but I've got, I think I have the sag like in here, so I'm just gonna put at least 1 layer. But I'm going to tear it, put this underneath, right where I think it's going to need to be. And this will reside underneath the foam. So I'm just going to do that, cut the back end, just tear it. Same thing over here. And I'm going to lay that foam over it and see what it feels like, see what it looks like. But I'm just trying to take up a couple of sags. Oops, tore easy. Spin it that way then. So watch, I just did the other side. I just did this one. It's like it's kind of a little bit thick, but if you just play it, just stretch it out. It's just wadded up, So I'm just trying to get it. I'll pull some material off of it, thin it out, taper it at the edges. Taper it forward, taper it to the sides, and just kind of get this little bit of a sag out, or at least give it a little bit more of a cushion right there that'll hopefully keep you from seeing it, But that's it. Just keep playing it. That's a lot better. All right, I'm gonna go with that. By the time I get everything wrapped over it, this ought to disappear. So it'll be that. So let's take a look at where we're at now. So I have the burlap jute and the 1.5 inch foam, and the 1.5 inch foam's cut 1.5 inches or so around the whole perimeter. And what's going to happen is the scrim foam, which I have underneath it now, the scrim foam, when you pull it tight, you pull this as tight as you can, and that's going to mash over this whole assembly and make that a nice corner. So what I did was I actually just temporarily hogged ring. This is not going to hold, but I just put a hog ring on it so that because I had that cotton batting underneath it, So the cotton batting, I didn't want that to display. So the cotton batting is sitting there in those two little pockets. Now I'm going to cut the scrim foam to where when I bring it back, it'll land in here. And that's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut the scrim foam to width and then start pulling it over, hog ringing it all the way. And then we ought to be ready to slip our cover on it. So I've not done this before, okay? This is Ciadella's technique, and I didn't really talk to anybody about how they do it. They just sent me like a dozen photographs, and I'm just trying to like reverse engineer it. But now I've got the backside done. I've got this just locked in place, but you can't stretch it until you flip it. So I want to flip it, and then I'm going to stretch it, and I'm going to hog ring it from the bottom, so I'm going to have to reach underneath. But I want to have the top so I can smooth and pull. But I've got the back all locked down, so now I'm going to flip it over, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the front. All right, so I flipped it. That's the back side that's hog ringed already. So what I'm going to be able to do is hopefully pull this like this, and it should kind of like it should get in a bind on that foam. It ought to be able to kind of almost hold itself in place, so to speak. So I've stretched it. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to end up pulling it all forward. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that once I get this hog ring tight. I'm going to end up going and just massaging all this and letting all that just kind of relax itself and get it as smooth as I possibly can. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get in the front. I'll show you what I'm going to hog ring in the front. I need to lower the camera. No, it's as low as it goes. All right. So again, this is not a method that I've used before, but this is the way Ciadella does all their interiors. So this is what they told me to do, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to grab a spring in here. And there you go. And that's why you need to use the scrim foam, because the scrim foam's got that fabric in it, you know, and it'll puncture, but hopefully it won't tear. So that one looks really good. Do another one. Just gonna have to work my way through. I'm looking at how it's either bulging or not bulging. And you can also, once you put the cover on, I missed. It's easy to miss. No, did I? No, I didn't. Just the hog ring plier slipped. So, but what I was saying is once we put the cover on, we'll be able to pull this even smoother, I think. But, you know, the more we do now and keeping this in line and keeping this the way it needs to be, then the better off we'll be. This looks great. Shoot, I don't know, can you see it? That looks really good. I mean, that's flat, smooth, nice rounded edge here. And this is going to be smooth. Wherever that seam falls, it's not like the seam's going to be trying to find a corner. That's going to be good. So let's go ahead and finish hog ringing this, and then I need to figure out the sides. So let's see. Let's get this one. There's that little bar I'm going to go to. Pull that. There you go. Okay. So that, I'll do that in a few places, and then get the two corners together. But it's looking really, really good. I'm very pleased with it. Very, very pleased with it. Let's see where we're going. Right there. Don't hog ring my thumb. Here. Do 3 or 4 on this. Don't be shy. Hog rings are cheap. There we go. Okay, got that side. And now I need to figure out what to do with this corner and get that all pulled on there. So I think what I might have to do is I might have to flip this, because now I'm pretty tight. So I'm going to flip it over, and then we'll work with it that way. Now that I've got it flipped over, you can see what's going on. Oh man, okay, so this is going to be, I'm going flying blind here, but I can kind of see how tight, you know, it was straight, so it should be pulled the same level of tightness, so it should be pulled to the same spots. and that way it's uniform. So it shouldn't be a guessing game. It should be straight up. All right, now I'm getting to this corner though. I think we have to do some fancy schmancy wrapping here. I guess maybe like we'll fold it like this and like that. We'll pull it, maybe fold it up, fold it into itself, away from itself. Not quite sure. So let me get one. I'll get one up right there. All right. And then I'll get the other, pull back to the side spring, to the side of this spring, down here. And now we just need to make that a corner. Get rid of the point. We just need to bring that in. And I think that'll do it. Just fold it onto itself. Got plenty of cush to hide all this. So bring that to the spring. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Gotta find, you know what, right there. Yep. All right, I'm gonna do the other side just like that. Well, actually, let's see. Let's figure this one out. So we gotta figure this back side. The back thing is probably gonna be, bring that there, and then get rid of that point. We'll bring this, just fold it all the way in. Guess I'll bring it from the middle. Yeah, the scrim foam is the trick, man. That is the trick. Get over that spring. All right. Let me go do that other side, flip it over, and I'll show it to you. Ta-da! There it is. I'm very pleased with it. It doesn't look like anything, does it? But I mean, it's burlap, jute, 1.5-inch foam, then some cotton wadding in between these two spots to build up those humps, and then the scrim foam on top of it. But that's it. So there's so much work going into prepping the springs, going to prepping getting the foam and getting this all right. The easy part's going to be putting that cover on. That's a simple part. So let's see. I'm all right with how this came out. It's a little bit proud here and it's a little bit proud there. Not by much, but that's fine because once you sit on it, it'll start wearing in nicely. So I'm not going to bother sitting on it. I'm just going to go ahead and straighten. Let's get into this this upholstery. So I need to, first thing I want to do is I brought my steamer with me. So I have a steamer. This thing's been sitting in the box for a very, very, very long time. And I don't want to stretch it, but I do want to get all these crinkles out. You know, it's like it's creased. So I want to get all that out. I'm going to be very delicate with the steamer. Let me go ahead and get the steamer set up and we can smooth this out a little bit. So this is a Conair model. They sell these on Amazon. I have this for, we have this for clothes at the house, and you can adjust the amount of steam that comes out of it, but it just does that. I've never seen one. So it's got a little trigger on it. You can buy these real inexpensively as travel irons, so I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and get this smoothed out. It ought to just pull all these little creases out. And it's not stretching the fabric, it's just shooting a little steam through it. I've got it on a low setting. That's not low heat, that's low steam volume. But you can see the difference. I would rather work with this already smoothed out and ready to go than be dealing with all kinds of crinkles and creases to start. So I don't know how this is going to behave on that vinyl, because the cloth, it allows it to go through the cloth. but I'm going to be very delicate with the vinyl. And so while we're doing this, well, I don't know. I need to show it to you first. I was going to talk about the listing wires, but there's listing wires that go all the way around this perimeter. You can see here there's a placket, and we'll go over that. But here we get into the scary part, which is the vinyl. I don't know if there's anything that we need to do. It's just going to wet it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave that vinyl alone until until I get to it, because it's just going to make it's going to make it wet. It's not going through it. It worked really well on the cloth. But I don't want to put. I want to put something to it. I'll probably have to smooth it out with something. Not quite sure if the steamer is going to end up being the way to go on this vinyl, but we will see. All right, let's talk about listing wire. So around the perimeter of the seat, originally around the vinyl, so you can see down here. See that stitch? So there's a wire, right? When you take your seats apart, you'll have a wire that goes in that, and there's little, what they call plackets, sewed all the way around the perimeter of the vinyl. And you're supposed to have a listing wire. That's what this is, a listing wire. This is one of the factory original listing wires that came off of one of the seats. I don't know which one this is, but a lot of times these are rusty, they're crusty, they're missing, they're broken. And you can buy stay wire, S-T-A-Y, stay wire. This is 9-gauge wire. And this I got this from Amazon. It's only 12 bucks. But this has this is craft paper wrapped over a little thin wire, and it's very. You can see it's very pliable. If I undid this packet, it would spring straight, almost completely straight open. So I've got a packet of this already open, and I'm going to have to slip these into all the little plackets. But this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the replacement wire instead of using the original. So you can see what the wire is. Right there. It's craft paper over a little thin wire. It's about the size of a coat hanger. So let me go ahead and I'll cut these and slip these into the perimeter, and that'll get us at least that much closer. So I got this piece of wire straightened out a little bit, and I'm going to fish it into this little placket. Might take a little bit of effort to get it in because that's a pretty tight little pocket there. Go. Maybe. No, straight in. Not a problem. So we go in the full length of that. Get to the end. I see it sticking out there. I want to make sure I got enough. And I'll just take my wire cutters or my dikes, take my snips, and cut it. That's it. Let me go ahead and fish that in. And I don't need you to see me fight that. It's upside down, and you can see the listing wire is in it now. So I ran the listing wire from the back corner all the way to the front where the transmission tunnel is, and I didn't bother to bend that. I just cut a hole in the placket and then slipped another piece here, another piece that goes all the way to the back corner, a small piece that fits all the scalloped edges that's around the wheel well, and one that goes across the back. So it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. 3 in the front and sides, and then 3 in the rear and corners. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to start stretching this over the frame. Here we go. It's like this is the simple part. After everything else is done, this is the easy part. You know? So might have to turn it back over to look at it to pull the hog rings tight, but I'm pretty sure it will. But now you're starting to see a plan come together. Now the listing wire comes all the way down to the bottom of the frame, and you'll see, I don't know if you can see this, but the bottom of the frame has these clips there. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and once I get this on, I'm going to start going to the frame. Not quite sure about this backside yet. See where that goes. You can find the center. Make sure I get the center. I guess this goes back to the springs, just like the other side did. Looks like it does. So what I think I need to do is the set point is all around the perimeter on this frame. They got all these hog ring spots all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this completely over. upside down. I'm gonna pull it to where that listing wire is right here. I'm gonna hog ring it all the way through, all the way around this perimeter, this bottom frame, and then we'll flip it right side up and start stretching it. All right, let me stop there for a second. So, it's gonna be tight. I just wanna see what it looks like before I do anything. Yep. Yep. I'm concerned about this transmission tunnel. You know, how that's gonna look. Yeah, the drive shaft tunnel, I should say. Let me go see if I can pull this, because it's got some crinkles in the front that I don't like. I don't know why. So I need to maybe relax that, maybe take these off and see what the deal is. So I'm gonna snip these free and fiddle with that a little bit, because I don't like the way it's gonna fit, and I don't think I can pull out the creases that I've got. All right, so this is actually take number 2. I already went around and had the whole front end, but I didn't like the way the transmission tunnel or the drive shaft tunnel was fitting, but I discovered that I had a crack that I didn't notice. And I don't have a welding machine out here, and I've already got all this foam on it. So what I did is I took a little piece of rod and I had to bend this thing out from the other side and fish it in and repair it so that these two would behave as one, because that was part of the reason why I was bunching up. But then I realized that I was probably fighting myself unnecessarily, so I had this as one continuous piece around the corner. So now I'm going to do it in 2 separate pieces. I'm going to let this stitch tell me where the corner is. I want to put a piece of jute on each corner, but that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to put a piece of jute, start from the corners, make sure it's all tight, leave this axle tunnel alone, and do that last. So I'm just going to let the 2 corners index me. Now I've got them redone. I haven't done the axle yet, the axle housing, so I've just got those and got them on the corners. And I put a piece of jute, because I know they always tear right there, so I put a piece of jute there to do it. So now I flip it, and then we'll be able to start tugging on it. So I already started. Went over. You just need to get these corners all pulled to where they're supposed to be. Yeah, I had a bad crease right there. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring the front way over. I'll have to sit on it. But at least now this front is it's not, before it was like creased, man. This has got to be the last thing you got to do. Something about that just didn't look right. So you got to grab that listing wire, tug it pretty hard. Get this to where this is all the way over the back corner, and it takes that much for it to get the listing wire down to where you can grab it. So I'm going to hog ring this right here, right in the center. Let's see where this is coming. So it's a little low right now, but I ought to be able to work it. I'm pretty sure beat and bang it. So we're gonna have to keep doing that, pulling it from the center out and hog ringing it on this back side. So yeah, like that. Pulling it down evenly. Whew. Boy, it is tight. It is tight. So yeah, let me show you where it's at on the back. So as long as I get this straight, pull that straight down, then it ought to ride just right. So, and everything's fresh right now, it's all plumped up, so All right, let me go ahead and fight this, and we'll take it to the next step. Well, it's coming out nicely. Look, it's all taut in the center. Got an issue in the back because the springs are not even, so it's like if you go look at the back, kind of see how the gray's trailing up. I need to pull that a little tighter and pull that to the next spring, so I need to re-hog ring that. But as far as being, looking good, it's looking really good so far. So, it's taking a lot longer than I was hoping. But yeah, I redid this, so now it's even. A lot better. Not quite sure how to do these ends, but we're going to figure that out next. Well, this part's easy. Just bring it, just like the front, just bring the listing wire into to that. Yeah, I'm looking at my corners, and my corners lined up. Hovering there. Shoot. Yeah. Listing wire's a little bit long. Didn't get it in. There we go. Oh yeah. That looks good. So we'll just do that. And then all I'm gonna do is figure out how to do the scallop in the back. But shoot, I'm home free, I think. And the axle tunnel. But yeah, this is looking good. I was very nervous about doing all of this. I've been putting this off and thinking because I didn't want to goof it up. And I know I've done this before, man, and just, I don't know. How is that closing? So, all right, I got that corner's looking good. And boy, this wire is hard to cut, I hope to tell you. You gotta like really be in it. But that's looking good. And now this, I'm not quite sure what to make of this. It's just an awkward, oddly shaped piece. The corner. Well, that's what I came up with. So I hog ringed it up here, around to these two springs, to the seat bottom, and then I hog ring these two wires together so that they wouldn't try to poke anything. So now I just need to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll flip it over and see where we're at. Should be done just a minute. All right, there it is. Done. That looks gorgeous. It looks awesome. You would think for something so simple, it wouldn't be a whole lot of work, but it was. It took me about 5 hours. God, my hands are cramping from that hog ring pliers. All right, got it. All right, so basically we've taken the edge off now. We've broken the seal, we've tapped that keg, we're ready to go now. So after doing that, I feel brave enough to take on the next one. So I'm going to start doing the backrest of the back seat next, probably. That'll be next weekend, though. So this took me a little bit longer than I thought. But anyway, do hope you liked the video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you're enjoying the channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.